We're back, ladies and gentlemen, after Gavin nearly died of a sickness and we had to miss out on a week of recording. We are back again.
Yeah, I am gonna take the fault on that one. I did almost die. That's on me. I gotta be better.
No, but we finally, everyone's been talking about this movie, and I feel like I do this for every single intro, but one battle after another. Oh my goodness, Gavin. Finally. We've been preaching for studios to do this. Original stories with unique characters that are interesting. You're never bored. The plot keeps moving. It's constant. I love this movie. And not only did Leonardo DiCaprio elevate the movie, and I feel like he elevated everyone else's performance, but this movie never stops. It truly is one battle after another. And I was never bored in the theater. We were kind of on a run there with movies where it was like I wouldn't necessarily lose interest, but I wasn't necessarily gripped to the story like I have been when we got started off of the summer. We obviously had like Fantastic Four, we had Superman, we had 28 Years Later.
We had some good projects.
Yeah, there's been some good projects. But this one,
to your point, this movie's also 3 hours long.
Yeah, it's true. Exactly. So the fact that I looked at the runtime, you told me the runtime, and I thought coming into this movie it was going to be a 2-hour movie. I did not know it was 2 hours and 47 minutes. It did not feel 2 hours and 47 minutes. It was constant. The story, the characters, everything kept me interested from the start. And you kind of talked about it too. It's like if Eddington was done right. And yeah, that's the biggest thing that you probably will want to talk about, like right.
Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna dive right into it because my Eddington slander is not done just because we finished the Eddington podcast. You clearly, if you've been listening to our stuff, know that I like to take a dig at it. I don't know, once an episode or something, because it's truly awful. I hated it. The more that I sit with it, the less that I like it. This is that idea of the social warriors, the people putting on revolutions, fighting for injustices, doing things like that Eddington so badly failed trying to put into a motivating movie, and they do it 100% correctly. I mean, they couldn't have done better. Yeah. Because the characters are people you care about. And we'll continue this comparison with Eddington. They're not all pearly white shiny characters that don't have character flaws. Each of them comes with their own particular character flaw. I mean, Perfidia is not interested in being tied down, is not interested in being part of a codependent relationship. Leo is in it mostly for the girl. Bob he's after Perfidia. Stephen Lockjaw, also oddly in it for the girl for the wrong reasons and goes about it the wrong way, but in it for the girl. They all have a big character flaw, but you also care about each of the characters, their motivations, their story, what's going on with them. And then when Willow arrives on the scene, it just brings a whole new element to the story. Normally when you get movies like this, I hate when they bringing characters that are going to be pretty much incapable because they're, kids or whatever. And Willow was not that character. I mean, she was, taking Taekwondo classes. She's incredibly intelligent. She's got her mom's fighting spirit. It was a really, really, really well done version of what Eddington should have been. And if it was, it would be in contest for, hey, which one was better, one battle after another or Eddington? As it stands, this was by far and away the much better version. And I'll let you dive into this some too, because we talked about it some on the way back from the theater. But they tell one overarching story.
Yes.
On top of that one overarching story, we get to follow like 6 different characters and we get to see all of their stories fully and completely. None of them are confusing, even if they're not directly connected together. They're each unique and independent and good stories. I mean, actually good stories you care about.
And I'll just start like from my favorite like perspective of the film. Immediately you are wrapped in this film like right from the start. They start with the cause, they start with what they're doing, they give you the relationship, they give you the characters that you're going to see, they give you interesting plot points and subplots right from the get-go, and it is all interesting. It's a little weird, like there's like some weird stuff in there, but it matches so well with like the vibe and theme of the movie. And I think the beginning of this movie is probably the strongest part, because when they go kind of at a million miles per hour, they really jump ahead and they go from one sequence to another. Like right from the start, you start off with a like big revolution, like the main plot point. And then we get into like Bob and Perfidia's relationship, and Perfidia being addicted to the revolution, and how they wrapped up that storyline in the beginning was so perfect. How she was addicted to the process, how she was addicted to just being a warrior basically and going against the system. And that gets her in trouble. And one of my favorite sequences of the film is when, and this is spoilers by the way, but when she ends up being a rat and she ends up saving herself, and because of her relationship with Lockjaw becomes so complicated and she wants to save herself, the way that montage wraps up for all the other characters, and then they go from that, and it's a high intensity, like that is a big moment in the film, and you are immediately wrapped up into everything. The revolution is breaking down. Bob, Leonardo DiCaprio's character, really starts to thrive and get fleshed out from this standpoint, and immediately right from the get-go you're wrapped in. And then they do a time skip, and I thought it was one of the more like smoother like transitions into a time skip, because they do an ISO shot of Perfidia and Bob's baby at the time of the movie, and then they do an ISO of her like when she's 16, and we skip ahead 16 years. I just think them showing the process of the French 75 and the revolution in the beginning is so powerful, and it immediately gets everybody wrapped into the story. I could tell like in the movie theater right from the start, because the tension was so high already in the first like 15 to 20 minutes of the movie, that everybody was wrapped up and like locked into the story. Like nobody was talking. We were locked in. So that's what I think is the biggest strength of this movie. The beginning of the movie is what gets you locked in. And then everything else that happens after it, you're more or less like prepared and know what to expect going after the movie.
Yeah, well, and I mean, to just strengthen your point there, so many of these movies, you know, tell you about the revolutionary causes, they tell you about this and that and the other, but they don't actually let you see a lot of it or interact with the people that are a part of it. And that's such an important part of getting to know these characters, building this story. And so the prolonged look at all of that really benefited the movie, the characters, and how the story was told, because then when they're making references to their old like code word system and things like that, this is not something that you're like, oh, but I don't understand what's going on, you know, because you watch them use it on mission after mission after mission. And so they built up this process. They have this, set of ideals. They've got their missions and their goals, and they do it in a way that allows them not to get caught, which is why when Perfidia eventually gets caught because she's slipping up, because she's, like you said, a little too addicted to the revolution, is making mistakes, you go, okay, so that's how she messed up, because when they show up other places, they don't kill people. They don't rob banks. This is not their MO. What they do is they free people. They fight social injustice.
Exactly.
They do things like that, and they do it where you're not harming people. And the first one where she goes out of her way is a little out of her head. and doesn't do it correctly is the one where the big mistake happens and she ends up getting caught. And it's really great, especially because you getting to know that part of Perfidia's story, to seeing Willow at 16 and having Leo, Bob, say that she was a hero, never telling her that she was a rat or that she went into witness protection or that he might not be her real biological father or anything like that, and just painting a completely different picture for her gives that whole story a completely different dynamic. Because if we don't know that information, we're looking at it going like, yeah, based on the 5 minutes of stuff that they showed from the French 75 at the beginning, yeah, that adds up. That totally makes sense. And even we as the viewers would go on believing that she's dead.
Yes.
But
and then
knowing all that gives it so much more depth.
And then not only that, and once that chapter is done, you're ready for the next chapter to see like what is going to happen to Willa, and then you get Bob fleshed out immediately. And I just have to say this right now. I gotta start talking about it. Leonardo DiCaprio is absolutely amazing in this movie. So
he
funny.
Had one of the performances of his career.
I mean, the fact that he's still this energetic. I mean, you look at...
Actually reminds me of one of the lines from the movie where they pull off the first job and Perfidia looks at him and goes, "Where are you getting all of this energy? How are you doing this?" And
funny.
like, it's great, but it's also like, Leo's kind of getting old. Sorry, Leo.
Yeah.
We love you. Please keep acting in movies, but like, you're also getting kind of old. So to see him attack something with this much vigor is awesome.
And it's refreshing to see him just be all in. Like it is an all in performance. And I started laughing so hard because we go into like the second part of like Willa being in like high school. She has a more normal life than obviously like then when they were in the revolution, they were basically running and hiding and just doing all these things and their crazy things. Now they're obviously in hiding, but Willa still has like a normal lifestyle. And to see Bob, Leo's character, just try and like adapt to that is the funniest thing ever. His intro of him just smoking weed in the car, and then he goes into the high school, and then he's like talking with a teacher about history class, and he's like, "I love it, like Benjamin Franklin."
You got to make sure you teach him the right stuff.
Yeah, it's just, it's a perfect shot because you can see how God he is, and it's just hilarious. And
oh yeah, well, and him like.
So many funny things going forward. It sets up like that's the thing. We'll talk about like the pacing of the movie because it really does never stop, but it knows when to slow down. Because then when it slows down and then it starts to pick back up, you know why these things are happening. And Leonardo DiCaprio in this movie is not only funny, but like moving constantly and always progressing the plot. And it is just hilarious, some of the things he gets into. I mean, the code words, like, alone.
The
like,
code words killed me through the entire movie. That may have been my best bit.
30 years. I'm not going to remember this. I'm just... It was killing me, man. And he was all in on the performance. He was easily the funniest and like most interesting character. Willa was a great character as well, and I also loved Perfidia also, but she takes an absence like in the second part of the film, like rightfully so, because we kind of get like her storyline wrapped up a little bit, but in the beginning. But I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio is just amazing in this. So many funny moments. I mean, another scene that like I want to talk about is. Everything's starting to kick off. Like the revolution is basically not like necessarily happening, but we're in like a deep like battle of the film. And Lockjaw and like all of his crew are like kind of starting a riot and inciting a riot to basically get the plot moving. And Leo's characters tried to escape, and he's escaping with like these 16-year-old kids, and they're jumping all over the place, and they're jumping roofs, and he's just
they're
like,
just parkouring over the roof, and Leo's just dragging butt behind. He's heaving and wheezing, and Oh, it's great.
And then he tries to jump a building, falls 40 feet, and then gets tased. Like that, me describing this scene alone just is the perfect example of like what this movie is. It's a constant moving story. You're never bored. You're always interested, and every character is unique, like you talked about. Like right from the get-go.
Well, and with like a 3-hour movie, it's easy to get bored. I mean, we talked about it. I'm going to bring up Eddington again. Movie was only an hour and a half, and you got to the end of the movie, or him from last week. You look at those and you go, those felt like 2-hour, 3-hour long movies. This one was truly almost a 3-hour long movie, and I got done with it and I was like, okay, so if you'd have tried to convince me that that was 3 hours, I wouldn't believe you, because everything just moved so well. And like Leo falling off the roof, that's not the only like surprise shock moment that happens in this movie. I mean, there's gobs and gobs and gobs. I mean, deaths of certain characters, the raids on the French 75, the interactions between Perfidia and Lockjaw, everything. It's just designed to keep you on just an absolute steamroll down the hill. But you're still able to bring in everything that you want from the story. Because some of these stories that try and move too quick like that, to cram a million stories in, they'll go too quick and gloss over storylines or not give enough attention or time to something that deserves it. And looking at all the big major moments of this film, I'm looking at it going like, no, I think they hit everything on the head perfectly.
And another thing that I love the most is we talk about that, like the reason why I love the beginning so much is because you already are establishing like what their cause is about. You know, they're destroying banks, they're helping out like immigrants, they're helping out people like that have gotten like the people that like are like the less fortunate like in this society that we live in today. And like, they're the revolution, like they're trying to start. So you know like what their process is. So then when you get into the high ramping, like fast paced stuff, you're led. The cinematography is amazing in this. Absolutely amazing. I mean, you're taking on like me and Gavin were talking about, there's like some Wes Anderson. There's a little bit of everything in this movie when it comes to like a shooting perspective, a camera shooting perspective, and like a cinematography point of view. But when Del Toro's character is introduced and they're trying to escape from Lockjaw's crew and everything, you're taking through like this whole entire revolution, like French 75, like base, and you're seeing the people that they're helping out. You're seeing the families that are part of it. You're seeing sort of the normal like lifestyle that they live, and you're taking through this whole entire like secret underground like base, and it's so awesome because you're like, oh my god, this is just never going. They're just keeping on going. And since Leo's character is so frantic and like doesn't know what the frick is going on sometimes, and it's been 30 years and he hasn't been a part of the revolution, it's so funny because he's like, I'm not even using the phone, and Del Toro was talking to like a 16-year-old kid. It's everything's going on so fast, and because Leo's character is kind of all over the place, you feel like you're a part of like Leo and the ride and the crazy freaking chase he's on. And you feel like you're right there and a part of it because of the way the movie's shot, because of the way everything's moving. And that's where I think the cinematography like deserves its due, because I feel like this movie does not feel the way it does without having the camera move with Leo's character, that not having like the pace of the movie like move with the camera. So I mean, it was just awesome, and I'm a sucker for that. I'm a big Wes Anderson guy. I'm a big like sucker for good cinematography. So it was just awesome when you have a like actor that matches the energy of the plot and the pacing of the movie. I feel like that's when it like just ramps up the movie and makes it like a step up, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, it's the little moments of everything. When you do an original story, it's really difficult to get a lot of storylines into one. It's also really difficult to get a lot of thematic elements into one. I feel like they hit on the romance between Bob and Perfidia really well. the father-daughter relationship between Bob and Willow, and him trying to balance being a father after being a revolutionary for so long, and dealing with all of the things that comes with today's society, and just smushing that all into one, set them up for a really great story. And even the relationship that wasn't really a relationship between Perfidia and Willa, that's something that still shines through, because she's heard stories of her mom and her dad is running around paranoid. But as soon as she starts to realize it's real, this image of her mom starts to become a reality. And it's difficult to get so many different genres of content into one, but Leo did an amazing job. Sean Penn did an amazing job. Tiana Taylor did an amazing job. And Chase Infinity and Benicio del Toro all did an amazing job at bringing each of these characters to life. And the other thing that we talk about is they're each so unique. Each character is so uniquely done that none of them feel like carbon copies of each other. When you get these revolutionary movies or these social justice movies or things like that, a lot of these characters feel the exact same. You know, everybody's really easily buttonholed into one side of the aisle or the other.
We're trying to take down the empire. We're trying to,
right.
You know, it feels... Yeah, it just all feels the same, sort of. You know what I mean? Like, oh, yeah.
Right.
Like,
these characters are just cookie cutter versions of each other. You know, this one lives in this part of the country. This one lives in this part of the country. They dress a little different, but otherwise they're exactly the same. I mean, even seeing what Perfidia and Bob did in the French 75 Revolution compared to Sensei Sergio San Carlos and the Latina Revolution that's there is so completely different, because what they're doing and how they're helping people is different. Their motivations are different. Their background is different. The way that they choose to hide in plain sight is different. I mean, Leo's got a cabin out in the middle of the woods, and Benicio has a friggin' martial arts studio in the middle of town. I mean...
It's insane. Yeah, it's the differences.
Each of these is so unique.
Yes. And... that's like the strength, because you almost feel like you're taken into another chapter or a different like set of the story, that every single time like we go to a different area or we end up like going back to a certain subplot. And that's where I love this movie. It's like the beginning and then the middle ramps it up, and you're immediately like caught in with like all the characters. And then when you get to kind of like the third act of the story, you're so hyped up from the beginning and the middle of the movie that when it slows down, you're already into the story and you're ready. You're like, okay, like give it some time to process. And then I'm ready for like this story to get wrapped up. And you're so interested into like, how are they going to wrap up Willow's story? How are they going to wrap up Perfidia's story? How are they going to wrap up Bob's story? There's like multiple things going on, but they're all connected into like this one thing, and or this one subplot or this one major moment in the movie. And it's just so well done. I just can't like speak highly of that enough, because for it to be 2 hours and 47 minutes and to keep my attention and everybody else's attention in the theater, like, deserves praise. Because we have had movies like from great directors that have been 3 hours long, and don't get me wrong, there's like parts of those movies where you're like, you did not need that. The only reason you're like,
right, we could have cut that out.
Yeah, there was no part of this movie where maybe you're like making the most nitpicky of edits. Maybe you're like, oh yeah, I could have like taken out a shot here, taken out a shot there. There is no part of this movie, like where it comes to like the story and plot, that you need to take out. There's only maybe one.
And
part,
honestly, if they released, well, right, and I'm going to bring up that one part in a second. But if they released an extended edition where they said, hey, by the way, there's 10 minutes of extra footage, and it's all what Perfidia did when she went to Cuba and Mexico and all these other places, I would watch it.
Yes.
I mean, I would, because the movie doesn't feel like it's almost 3 hours. If you're telling me I can get 10 minutes of extra content, I'm sure that those extra 10 minutes are going to be well worth seeing. Now, the one story that I do have a complaint about, and I do have to make a complaint about it because both you and I commented, and we actually laughed and kind of scoffed out loud in the theaters when it happened. But the white supremacist group sends one of their people after Colonel Stephen Lockjaw. Comes up along the highway, motions for him to roll his window down as they're both driving along, takes a shotgun, points it out of his car, and absolutely shotguns him in the face. Stephen Lockjaw's car, going at 60, 70, 80 miles an hour, rides over the top of a hill and smashes
Completely
top down
crashes
into the desert floor. We get 20 minutes more of movie, and then we see Stephen Lockjaw walking up the highway, all bloodied, but apparently fine.
But not only that, not only that makes it more frustrating, is they could have had a chance. And this is the most nitpicky thing. But to be honest with you, it makes sense with Leo's character. Leo's character shows up to the crash, pokes at Sean Penn's character, Lockjaw.
Oh my gosh, yeah, this would have been like, so good.
You're telling me he doesn't, like, what if I was like, please wake up. Like, please wake up.
Wake up, have the confrontation.
Please have this great moment, like, where Lockjaw maybe is like, you don't deserve her, like, you don't, like, blah, blah, blah. Any monologue about, like, their relationship with Willow. And it could have been, like, kind of like a big moment, and I would have loved it, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah, I mean, a huge face-off between the two of them.
Yeah, instead it becomes like of them like passing by, basically. But that was just that movie. Even though it is very like unrealistic, there are like realistic parts to the movie, like where it's like antagonizing a riot or something, or strategic. Like, to be honest with you, like the military stuff with like the Navy SEALs and the police and Lockjaw Squad. It was very tactical, which is what I loved the most. I was very shocked by like how tactical it was, how strategic it was, the tension in like the third act of certain moments, like when they do the raid on the church in I forgot like where the area was, but where they're holding Willow and Lockjaw's squad comes up and raids the whole entire church. I thought it was tactically, it was such an interesting like part of the movie, because they took it. Seemed to me like Paul Thomas Anderson took everything very detailed and seriously, and that's what I love the most. Like, Lockjaw is a very like detailed and oriented, like, but like the military side of it, he wanted to make sure that side of it was down, because it made the tension like so high, because you knew that these people were highly trained and were capable of anything. And there were some moments where I was like on the edge of my seat. But for it to be super realistic and take that part of it, like the tactical side of it, and then have that moment, I just kind of was like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. And then like you talked about, like,
didn't help. Like, they walked him into the room, told him he got the job, gassed and killed him. And I went, okay. So if he has any different storyline, for instance, if he swapped sides and went, you know what, obviously I loved Perfidia, didn't go about it the right way, but I realized that I'm locked into an awful group of dudes, and left, or attacked the organization even, that would have been great. Or if they had actually let him come in because their guy died on the side of the highway chasing Willa down, that would have been, better. But to almost kill him along the side of the highway, to let him live long enough for his face to heal up and scar over, just to gas him in some random office building, it's like, dude, what a waste of a story. Like, you and I both talked about it. We were fine when we thought he was just going to be driven off the edge of a cliff and die. Like, you know what? Good. I don't like him.
His past finally caught up with him, and that's what he gets.
Right. Sean Penn played such a motivating villain, and you get to that point where you're like, oh, he died. Great. Love it. And then he's walking about. No, and to see, and then we're gonna give him a whole nother scene where he's got to die again. Why? Who cares? Should have left him dead on the side of the road, or like you said, let him have a showdown with Bob. Oh my gosh, that would have been. I didn't even think about that, but like that would have been so good for them to just be on the side of the highway tearing into one another while Willa is like driving off in the completely opposite direction. Like,
You could have,
Yeah, that would have been
made
great.
that so funny too, because Bob is so untrained, and then you have
he's just unhinged.
You have a polar opposite of a super trained, like understanding that he made a mistake and is trying to like cover up his tracks, to a person that is trying to do the right thing and like get back his daughter. It would, and the personal like beef and relationship and their subplot like of like what is at stake for both of those characters would have been so good, and it would have been hilarious too. You could have done something so funny with that, but because like you could have had Leo's character.
I mean, especially since Leo's basically on the side of the highway losing his mind anyway. I mean, that's exactly what he's doing. He's just having a prolonged panic attack.
I just love how, like Revolution, like he's such a smart, like an intelligent Revolution person, but he's also so dumb at the same time, and he gets into all these random sequences, but he's able to get out of them because he's been in them before. Like Del Toro and him just driving in the car and they're drinking Modelo's, and for some reason, like I don't know if it's part of the French 75,
and the cop sees him,
but
and
but everyone is drinking and driving for some reason, and it's just
everybody.
Both of them are drinking and driving. Cop sees him, pulls it over, and Del Toro's just drinking. And he's like, Secure, put him in my backpack. He's like, well, this is the end of the line, brother. I have to drop you off. Gets out 1, 2, 3, 4. And he's like, can you slow down a little bit, man? And then he just throws him off the car. It's just
that was one of my favorite scenes with Benicio. He did such a good job.
Oh my God. And it's so funny. And then I just love that the car he hotwires is like the most old, like,
it's just this dingy like piece of crap. Like, I mean, and he's chasing down a Mustang and a Camaro in it. Like, he's got the world's crappiest O2 Pontiac or some nonsense, chasing down a brand new Mustang and a brand new Challenger. Like, what are you doing, dude? Come on, like, dude.
Another thing that I love so much about this movie is that they set everything up. Like every single sequence that happens in this movie is set up. For example, when Willow gets taken away, she gets captured. There's multiple sequences where she's tossing people and she's using her combat abilities and the stuff that she's learned for like a brief period of time, like in these sequences.
Well,
and it
even shows the fighting spirit of her mom, the former revolutionary, who she's only heard stories about. She has the training to do it, but she's also got some of that fire in her and that fight that her mom had. And you look at that and you go, this is just a great setup. You laid the brick for this so well. And
it sets
that's
up,
all right.
We both interrupt each other, but it's fine. It sets up the third act and like what happens and the action in that sequence like so perfectly, in my opinion. Like when she is getting captured, she's taken to this certain like checkpoint, like by this bounty hunter she's supposed to be taken care of, quote unquote, and bounty hunter ends up like sticking to, like, they also talk about that, like he has rules and regulations, like as a bad, he's like, I don't do kids. And the fact that like he ended up taking her there, he's like, I can't do this. So then he ends up trying to right his wrong by trying to save her, but in doing so he loses his life. But it's like those things, like they set up everything, like rules and regulations, like they set up like these people's actions, like how good are they at combat, all these things they set up like of how the revolution is. And you're never like, oh, that would never happen, or like, why did that happen? You're never like that in that movie. You understand like what these characters are capable of the whole entire time. And so like when Willow like is in the third act taking care of herself, like you said, it's part of her mom's spirit, but it's also because of like the training she's had with Del Toro's character, the wisdom of like Bob, living with Bob for so long, even though he's on drugs and alcohol like for the last 30 years of his life.
Absolutely.
And
going brain dead.
The trackers that they have, and like because Bob was like at the time like so intelligent and taught her all these things, and she herself didn't do the bad stuff like smoke weed and drink all the time like Bob did, but the fact that she was able to retain all that information, and so when she gets into these sequences, she knows what the heck to do, and she gets in like to one of the most like high intensity moments of the film, and you're confident. You're like, I'm confident in her capabilities to handle herself, even if she were to get hit upside the head. Like I'm sure she could counter and like hit a person with a 1-2, maybe a low kick, break their kneecap, send it home. It's like I think I was confident in her in any situation because of her past, and that's why I love the beginning so much, because they set these things up. And so when you're in the third act, you're like, I already know what these characters are capable of. Like, I know that she can get out of this situation. Because we've had multiple times like where it's like, oh my God, that was just such BS. You know what I mean? That was not set up. Like, what are we doing? But in this movie, it's established. It's set up. And so when all the crazy stuff happens, you're never like, oh, that character was not capable of that. No, you understand like what these characters are capable of. And that's why I love like Willow's like third act in the movie and like the chase sequence. Like, the chase sequence is crazy.
The chase sequence is crazy. But my favorite moment from the third act is the letter. So the one knock that I was planning on making the entire second half of the movie was we got to see Mom escape to Mexico, and we literally never heard from her again. And I was prepping talking points going like, we needed to have seen her. There's no way she was such a prevalent part of the first hour and a half of the movie, and now we don't have her at all. And, you know, you're not clear if she's still alive, if she's dead, if she's whatever. And Leo, after everything that's gone on, sits back down with Willa in the house and says, I've got something that I need to show you. And gives her the letter from her mom that her mom wrote her, explaining where she is, how she's doing, how she thinks about her every single day, how it tears her apart that they're not together as a family, like in the first act Bob talked about when she was walking out to go rob that bank anyway. It was, we need to stick together, we're a family. And it really ties together the whole family relationship. It gives some closure to Perfidia, and it encourages Willa to go on and become the same revolutionary person that her mom was. And it puts such a nice bow on everything that's all set up in the first act. And it, don't get me wrong, if they release 10 minutes of footage of her mom in Cuba or Mexico or whatever, I want to see it. Because, like, I want to know what she's been up to in more than just a letter. But that letter did such a good job of tying up her storyline that by the time I left the theater, it wasn't the, well, and that's stupid, I wish I figured out what happened there. It was, okay, it's not really meant to be something that was a huge, huge part of the film, but it kind of ties her character up perfectly and sets Willow up for exactly what the rest of her future looks like, and even gets Bob sort of back into the game. Now he's using a cell phone and trying to take a selfie and still getting high. That's
and just hilarious. I mean, like,
doing all the other stuff, which is hilarious, but it sets up everything really well.
Yeah, and it gave me sort of Sinners vibes. I kind of told you that the ending kind of reminded me a little bit of like Sinners, and Michael B. Jordan's character's ending, like with like family and like seeing them all together, Perfidia, Bob, and Willa, like all together. That kind of gave me a little bit, like, it just reminded me of like the final scenes of Sinners, like in that moment, because of like the huge family dynamic that they focus so hard on, like family togetherness, but like being a team, like, and being part of a cause in this movie, that it hit super hard when she reads that letter. And it's like, it is one of the best moments of the movie for sure, because you're sitting there wondering the whole time, like, is she going to come back? Like, are we going to see her again? You know, I love how the other characters reference her and how it impacts Willa's storyline and how her story, like, how her story goes in the plot. But overall, it was like the perfect way to wrap up her character, because she had such a strong opening to the movie, and how we see it wrap up, I think is just perfect, to be honest. Because, like, I mean, yes, we could get 10 minutes of her storyline, but I don't think it's needed. I think like you understand.
No, I think it works.
I think you understand the character enough that she was addicted to the process so much that she was forced to like leave it behind, and you were never gonna like see her again. And also the way Bob, like Leo delivers that, like of how he's gonna like give it to her, how he gives it to her is so good too. That's the thing. Leonardo DiCaprio just captures like a madman and a super sensitive and loving father so well in this movie. It's insane. Like he's all over the place, but like he's doing this all just as
It's
a loving
good all
father.
over the place. I mean, you know, it a lot of it's paranoia and pandemonium and craziness and just a little bit of nonsense. But it's also really caring and sweet, and you know, he's motivated to try and, in the beginning of the movie, keep her away from the things that made his past difficult and his, you know, her mom's past difficult. And by the end of the movie, he's helping her embrace those parts of herself. I mean, it's really great. The other big thing, and we'll talk about this when we do the Smashing Machine 2, but at the beginning of the podcast, we talked about how this is so great because this is what we've been asking for, is original content, original characters, great stories, great writing, great cinematography. This movie lost money.
Yeah.
And not an insignificant amount of money.
I think
because
like overall,
how much?
It was like something like 160 million or something like that. I know they spent like $200 million like on production and stuff, and like 100 million on like marketing and everything, because there was a ton of trailers for it. But I don't know the exact.
But that's a tough amount of money to lose. I mean, let's ballpark it at 100 mil.
Yeah.
That's low ball, but let's ballpark it at 100 mil. 100 mil is not what this movie should be losing. And we talked about this before we hopped on here. This movie, from the cinematography to the score to just getting to experience it in the theaters, is one of those, like, can you watch it at home? Sure, you could watch it at home, but really you should be watching this one in the theaters. And it's insane to me that two great movies like this released. You have The Smashing Machine, which is just... we haven't seen it yet, so I'm speaking out of turn here. But I expect it to be as good as everybody is suggesting it's going to be. And you have one battle after another, which is as close to a 10 movie as we've had all year. Especially when you're tackling difficult subject matter, and it's still a 10. You gotta get back into the theaters and see this, because movies like this, they're not going to keep getting made if they're losing $160 million at the box office. It's great that people want to watch it when it comes to streaming. Go see it in theaters, and it's just better there.
It's crazy to me that we've reached a time where, and I get it, we are, even though our name is like fate, we truly are cinephiles. We're going to see a movie every single week. You know what I mean?
We're fake only because we're morons.
Yes, we have no credibility whatsoever. We have never made a movie. I mean, the only thing
never
that we've done
movie.
is take like half decent pictures with like our DSLRs that we like never use on a daily basis. But
no,
it's sad to see that a director like Paul Thomas Anderson, and everybody's saying this is one of the best. Like I'm getting ads on Instagram. Like everybody is saying this is one of the best movies I've seen all year, and we have seen some great movies. I mean,
we've seen some great movies this year.
Like this is a good year for movies. I mean, the horror genre has been.
It's a great year for movies.
Exactly,
I mean, and they've been blowing it out of the water.
We have been in movie theaters where we're watching a great movie, and it's only us. So to have this much hype around the movie, and even Leo understood what this movie meant to like the movie industry and what it meant for like directors and up and coming actors and what like storytelling should be. And he spoke about it on the press tour. He's like, I wanted this movie to like mean something and like show people that like there still is original content out there. You can still make an original story and have people love it and come to the theater. And I'm telling you guys, the cinematography, the score, the songs, everything about this movie, it felt like I was watching a masterpiece like in the theater. It's like I sat up and locked in, and I was like, I need to pay attention to so many things in this movie because I know I am watching a masterpiece. I mean, from the way this movie's shot, with how much detail they took into it, how good the writing is, how the different tone shifts, and how funny the characters are, and how unique it all is from a standpoint. We've obviously seen movies like this made, but with like it being so fast and never like one shot films, that's kind of how it felt like. But this movie is so unique and so interesting to watch in the movie theater. Like, it's like an inspirational movie to be like, I want to go make a movie like that. I want to go out there and like try and recreate something to that style and effect of it could like inspire someone. So it's like, from this standpoint, like the fact that this movie has gotten so much hype and the fact that it still lost money, it's crazy to me. I just think there needs to be like a deal with the streaming services. I think there needs to be, a package deal with like a certain streaming service that like when it comes out of the theater and you get this amount of streams, you get this amount of money. Because I feel like that's like where we're heading. Because it's getting to
and
the
what
point,
kills me about this too, this movie lost money. Jurassic Park made $500 million.
What are we doing?
How are we filling theaters to make a $500 million profit on still the worst movie of the year? I mean, you hear me talk crap about Eddington. I won't watch Jurassic Park again. It was so terrible. The worst movie we've seen, period. And that made a $500 million profit. I mean, listen, everybody has their own tastes, okay? And I get it. Probably a lot of kids and teenagers went to go see Jurassic Park. But Superman did not get that. Fantastic Four did not get that. And the target audience is the same age group as Jurassic Park. We have got to start putting our money towards the projects that are actually good.
That matter, dude. This movie actually means something. Like, it is right. It is an original story, completely original, from one of the greatest directors of our generation. And people are like, like, I'll just wait for it to come out and stream. What are you talking about? Every person that you talk to when they go see it, Mac. When we talk to him, he goes, you guys gotta go see this in the theaters. Like, this is a movie you need to go see in the theaters. He's just deploring everybody.
He was actually insulted at my dying, keeping us from going to see it the week that it released. I was bummed out about being sick to not go get to see this release, and after having watching it,
we are not going to see it. And then everyone was like, no, you still gotta go see it. Like, you just go take the chance.
You just have to.
And I mean, I'm not like saying, everybody go to the theaters or anything, but like, I'm sure there's a lot of people that talk about, oh yeah, I love movies. I love this. This is such a unique movie theater experience. And it's the fact that most people aren't going to see it in theaters is insane to me. It's insane. This movie should have been filling out the theater. It should have been filling out the theater. It should have gotten as much money as Sinners. The fact that it's not going to probably come close to the Sinners is crazy.
It's probably at the end of its run, it's probably going to make 50 million less, which is insane. Sinners not being a top grossing movie of the year is also kind of insane, by the way, because talk about an original story with the best soundtrack of any movie all year. And career performances from Steinfeld and from Michael B. Jordan, and we're not telling you to get into theaters to go see every single movie, but guys, we have got to get into theaters to go see something, okay? And if we're gonna go see something, let's not go waste our money on trash like Jurassic Park. Let's go put our money into the pockets of people who are doing things like Superman 28 years later. I mean, pick any one of the projects, but this and Smashing Machine, because we'll bring it up in the review for Smashing Machine, but they're projects that deserve to have people go see them in theaters.
Yeah.
Don't go see the churned out box office crap in theaters. Go see the good movies, the original content, the acting performances of a lifetime in
One
theaters.
of the greatest. What are we talking about here?
Like Leo movies. This is like top 3 Leonardo DiCaprio movie for me.
Like I'm talking about the director. It's freaking Leonardo DiCaprio, and we can't even sell out the theater. Like, what are people doing? Like, I understand. Maybe you want to go to the bar. Maybe you want to do this, but it's like, listen, you can do whatever you want. But if you don't give me the excuse, oh, I couldn't find time, I don't want to get out of the house. Get out of the house and go see Leonardo DiCaprio on the big screen, because you're not going to see it for very much longer. The guy is old. I mean, he had a great physical performance, but he fell 40 feet in this movie. You never know what's going to happen. Like, God.
Yeah. I mean, really. So this is a great transition to some scores. We both got a little worked up there. You'll have to accept our apology, but we're not really that sorry, because oh my gosh, I can't. This is a 9.7 for me. This is a top 3 Leo movie of all time for me. Even though Benicio del Toro is not in a ton of this movie, it's also one of my favorite performances of his, because he's so funny in it. So funny all the time. Chase Infinity deserves major props, because for this being her first big movie role of her career,
oh my God, she killed it. She should be chased for every project going forward. I mean, Star Wars franchises should be like, I need to make her.
If you're not calling her agent, you're making a mistake.
What are we doing? Because she was locked in this movie. You know, she didn't really have that much. Locked in. She had a decent amount of dialogue, but it wasn't. She just captured the movie screen when she was on it, and
she dominated the screen when she was there.
She was in a lot of tense moments with one of the greatest actors we've ever seen in Sean Penn. I mean, come on, Sean Penn.
Oh my gosh. And his performance.
He is always giving 110% every single time. And she actually matched him in certain sequences. And that alone should be every studio I want her to be in my next project. I want her to be the person that's going to whether it be a romantic movie, whether it be this, whether it be that, make her an A-list actor, because she is a star.
For sure. My biggest complaint with the movie is Lockjaw's storyline, but honestly, it still doesn't stop it from being one of the best movies we've seen all year. This easily goes into my top 5. 9.7 for me.
Oh, I'm giving it I'm gonna give it a 9.9.
Nice save.
I'm gonna give it a 9.9. The only reason I give it a 9.9 and not a 10, and I just love giving high scores. I mean, it's the greatest thing ever. But this was definitely one of the best movies of the year for sure. Definitely in my top 5, 110%. I love the pacing of this movie. The cinematography is amazing. Paul Thomas Anderson, obviously one of the best directors of our lifetime. 110,000%. Leonardo DiCaprio, hilarious, captivating. I mean, emotional as well. Loved his character. I loved the storylines. I loved how fast the movie was. And I loved all the plot points and serious issues that it touches. I mean, this movie is executed perfectly. I mean, 9.9. The only reason I give it a 9.9 is because of, like you said, Lockjaw surviving that crash is insane to me. I don't understand it.
It's a waste of 10 minutes we could have used somewhere else, because every other minute of the movie was so good that 10 minutes kind of just felt like a complete waste. I was like, what are we doing? I don't care about this guy anymore. He's dead. Just kill him.
It was kind of like a lesser version of the Departed ending. You know what I mean? A lesser version of that. So that's what I took from it. I was like, oh, he's gonna walk in and somebody's just gonna snipe him in the head. But now he's just gonna get capped. Yeah. So, but another thing that I want to talk about, the detail, the intensity of this movie. You are the sound effects of the bullets, the sound effects of people dying in this movie, and the montages and how the movie is paced and flows is perfect. I mean, there's some parts that you may say are too long, but in my opinion, they work so well because of the payoff of the sequence. The car chase scene with Willa. I mean, it is unbelievable. And that's what I talk about. That character is set up perfectly because she has the intelligence from Bob and the intensity of her mother, and like the never give up like attitude of the revolution, and like to make that decision and stop on the road, understand that this guy's like going 100 miles per hour. He also like can't see. She's looking in the rearview mirror. She understands like the viewpoints of the car and what they're able to see. It's set up perfectly, which is why that scene is so long, because she's looking in the rearview mirror to see like the hills and everything and how everything is viewed from her perspective. I thought it was great. I mean, this movie's a 9.9. I could go on and on. I'm just ranting at this point, but
it's fine. 9.9. Little rant 9. For a good movie is well worth it.
Del Toro's amazing too. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, they turned in excellent performances all around. For the next excellent movie, we're going to be seeing The Roof Man and The Smashing Machine, which I have good expectations for both. You should also go see them. And yeah, I mean...
Yeah, well, hold on. Let me say this too. All the people saying about, like, talking bad about Smashing Machine, we're about to go see it. I mean, in my opinion, you're being way too nitpicky, probably, because it is a biopic, and I feel like biopics always have, like, sort of the same repetitive feel, and they struggle with that. I mean, I understand that there have been biopics, like, we're kind of in a biopic era where, like, if a really big A-list actor wants to get an Oscar, they'll do a biopic. And I feel like I'm going to respect, and a lot of people have been respecting Dwayne The Rock Johnson's like performance, but I'm interested to see my reaction to like this movie, because a lot of people have been kind of like either talking bad about it or like been talking super great about it. So it's going to be a very interesting movie to see, and I'm excited to go see it.
Yeah, can't wait. And then the following week after, we have Brett's most anticipated movie of the year in Black Phone 2. So, I mean, everybody buckle your seatbelts and get ready.
So I don't even want to watch
No, you're not done. You're not done yet, because then after that, coming up in November, we have the most anticipated movie of the year in Wicked for Good. And boy, oh boy, oh
you're
boy, I'm excited about that. No, I am taking you to the double feature. It's what's happening. 5 hours and 15 minutes of glorious wonder, music, and an epic conclusion.
You need to stop.
To one of the greatest stories all time.
End this episode right now. So done. The fact that we're giving Wicked $600 million in the movies is insane to me. I'm done. I mean, all right, I can't be talking bad about Wicked, like, but whatever. It's fine.
It's all right. Don't worry, we'll bring him around. He will get there. I promise. I'm gonna go to work. It's gonna be good. We're gonna get him a hoodie and everything. It's gonna be awesome.
Oh my god.
It's gonna be great.
See you in the next episode.
See ya, lads.